Hello. My friend Amanda Barker just finished living a year without money. I'll include a story about that in the description under the video. I had the great pleasure of traveling with Amanda for 10 weeks. On April 21st, we left from Burlington, Ontario. Here we are saying goodbye to our friends P. Blizzard the Rooster. So, yeah, on April 21st, we left Burlington, Ontario, and we hitchhiked across Canada. We got rides from 30 people. It took us 2 weeks to get from Burlington to Vancouver. Then we spent a couple of weeks in Vancouver. Then we carpooled with our friends Carson and Daphne down to Berkeley, California for the Animal Liberation Conference. Then we took a break from hitchhiking. We took a couple of buses. We took a bus from San Jose to LA and then LA to Las Vegas. Then we rode with our friends Kate and Anthony to St. George, Utah. Then we hitchhiked again from St. George, Utah to St. Louis, Missouri. Then we met up with our friend from Canada, Rob McNeil, and we went on a 2-week tour around the Midwest doing activism for the animals and singing songs for the animals. Here I am talking with Amanda about this adventure. Hello, John here with Amanda Barker.
Hello.
And we had a spectacular adventure. We hitchhiked across Canada and across a big portion of the U.S. as well. Was it fun?
You still have blueberries in your teeth. Do you want them out before we do this or no?
Okay, yes. You might be curious, how did we get rides? Well, different ways. Sometimes we'd stand at the side of the road with our thumbs out, and you have a wonderful move where you do a little dance with 2 thumbs going. Yes, and your bright pink winter coat helped out too, I think. And then sometimes we were just walking to the side of the road and someone just saw us and pulled over and said, "Hey, where are you going? Are you okay?" And other times we were waiting at a rest stop or something, and people would see the backpacks and start up conversations, and they'd say, "Oh, I'm headed that way too." So it's really fun and easy.
Very easy. Too easy.
Well, you might be wondering, what kind of people would pick up hitchhikers? A lot of them are people who have hitchhiked themselves.
Yeah, most of them hitchhiked themselves back in the day.
Yep. And we met 2 vegans.
Really? I thought more. No?
Okay, maybe more, but at least 2.
I'm vegan.
We met a fellow vegan, very nice.
Maybe we made some people vegan while we were going.
I think so. Well, people would see my vegan hoodie and your button and your patch, and they would start up conversations. So we got to talk with many people about animal rights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some people said that we ruined bacon for them, so this is awesome.
Yes. Well, there were a couple of people who said, "Oh, I always pick up hitchhikers." One guy said one time he was out and he saw a guy who was kind of big and scary looking, he said he thought to himself, "Nobody's going to pick up that guy. I'll pick him up." And there was a petite young woman, and she said, "I always pick up hitchhikers." And she said, "You two don't look like you're going to kill me." And she said, "One time I did pick up 2 guys who looked like they were going to kill me, but they ended up being very friendly."
Exactly. So everybody was safe.
And for food, we did some dumpster diving, which was lots of fun, and we found some treasures. It's like a treasure hunt.
Yeah, I was so happy that John was so cool and go with the flow and doesn't feel embarrassed and actually said that people throwing away food should be embarrassed. So that made me feel so happy and pleased because some people are not open to it. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm very much against food waste, and I was certainly very open to it. It was wonderful. We found lots of great meals, and we shared with people. So I highly recommend dumpster diving, rescuing food, and I highly recommend not throwing the food out. That's terrible.
Yeah, why?
Well, we were in a place where you used to live. We were in Manitoba, and we were looking for a family member of yours who happened to be home, but they weren't home, so we camped in your uncle's backyard. And that was fun.
Yeah, out of all my family in Nipawin, I thought someone would be home, but nobody was home. So we camped in my uncle's backyard. And then I think you want to talk about the next morning.
We were waiting at the side of the road, and a couple pulled over, and they were nicely dressed. They were on their way to church. And so we got in, and we started conversing with them, and something pretty wonderful happened.
Yes, we started talking. I said my mom was born in Nipawin. And then he said that he went to school with my mom, and I think they were in grade 8 together. And for me, it was very nice when he said that I reminded him of her, or she reminded me, because my mom passed away when I was young. So it was very nice to hear a few kind words about her. And that we went to church with them. John totally out of his comfort zone there, and we wore our vegan shirts so we could plant some seeds there, and they shared a snack with us and helped us get on our way, and we had a beautiful morning with them. So I was extremely grateful for that morning.
One very fun experience was we were in Kelowna, BC, and we were in a park looking for a place to set up our tent. And there was a bike path or a hiking path, and I saw lots of people walking by, and I saw all these backyards, and I thought to myself, if these people knew us, they'd happily want to hang out with us and let us camp in their backyard. And sure enough, something happens. A woman named Carol saw us, and she said, "Oh, what are you up to?" She saw the backpacks, and we said we were looking for a place to set up the tent. And she said, "You can camp in my backyard if you want."
They made us a vegan dinner, which was basically any of the vegetables they could find from their fridge, but we gave them a golden star for their effort. It was really nice. The most organic ways when you meet people for Couchsurfing is so beautiful. There's the website Couchsurfing, but when people just meet you and then feel comfortable to welcome you in their home. We had that other times. We met hitchhikers or people driving, and they said whenever they see people, they welcome them in their home. And that was what was so beautiful and is so beautiful about the world, when people just give just to enrich the lives of everybody around them.
When we were in Banff, it was so gorgeous with all the mountains all around us, and it was a lot of money to pay for a place to sleep, and so we had our tent. So we just walked around, and we saw a beautiful, beautiful park, and we stopped to take some pictures. And then a park ranger came up, and he saw the backpacks, and he said, "I saw your backpacks. You're not planning on camping here, are you?" And we had an interesting conversation with him.
Yeah, and it happens a couple times because we like to bring it back to the issue of Europeans coming to the land and there already being people living here. And people always say irrelevant, irrelevant. It is not irrelevant. The land was for all the people, and then they started to set up private areas for people to live. And so when we say to the police officer, what about people who lived here before this European system of laws and justice? What about people that don't have money? Where do they stay? And he didn't have an answer, and he could admit to us that he didn't think we were going to do any harm. He was more concerned about people making a mess, and he could tell from talking to us we had no such interest. So it was a really great conversation. They ended up leaving, and as soon as they left, we just walked over 5 feet and started to camp, regardless of what he asked us as a request to do.
One thing I really liked about this adventure is just, setting out for the day. Okay, we have all our stuff, we have our tents and everything. We don't know who's going to pick us up. We don't know where we're going to sleep that night, what we're going to eat. And I love creative problem solving. And I was thinking, just money makes things so easy. You just drive your car or pay for a bus or pay for a hotel. So it takes away a lot of the adventure out of life. So it was quite an adventure just figuring things out. What are we going to do?
Yeah, it was great every day. We didn't know where we were going to sleep. We ended up sleeping on rocks sometimes, or in the bush, or in someone's house, or it's really a surprise. And even us, we were not roughing it. We didn't ever even get that suffering, so. Yeah.
But even just a slight bit of maybe a tiny bit of roughing it, where maybe it was really cold the night in the tent. Like the one night we camped in the tent beside a frozen lake, and it was very nice during the day, but when the sun went down, I think it was about 3 a.m, and I heard the tent zipper, and you got out and lit a campfire so we could stay warm. But when we went through that, then, the next night when we're sleeping in a warm bed, for certain people who are just pampered their whole life, do you really even maybe you stop appreciating it after a while. But when you kind of rough it a little bit, it makes you appreciate things more, I think.
And how beautiful was it by that frozen lake with the campfire? It was worth it maybe to, have a little bit of hardship, but to be in nature and so close to also the highway, we could just hike up in the morning and keep on hiking to where we were going and have that great evening of just playing harmonica, having our snacks, and having a campfire. It was worth it.
Absolutely, I agree fully. It was worth it. Even though it was a little cold for sleeping, it was totally worth it. It was gorgeous, and I'm sharing pictures so you can see. Some say we need money as a motivator. We can't get rid of money. Well, over and over again, we realize people don't need money as a motivator, because really, if you think about it, the people who picked us up while we were hitchhiking, they don't know us. they don't fully know that we're not going to kill them or something. And so you could say that they risk their lives to help out people in need. So if people are willing to risk their lives to help out people in need, well, of course, they're going to be more than happy to do lots of volunteer work, volunteer at community gardens, and volunteer at building homes for people. And we already have enough homes, as we know. We see so many big houses on our journey where, every big house we saw, we could be a vegan commune.
Yeah, every building we saw, we're like, oh, perfect vegan commune. Oh, perfect vegan commune every time. Yeah.
So yeah, Amanda and I are very like-minded in that we are all about building community and making friends, and so yeah, we don't need money. We can move to a resource-based economy and share everything. And I feel that I love everyone in the world, and I know you feel like that too.
Totally.
So every time, it's not like we're waiting to get picked up by strangers. Every time we're just thinking, what new friends are we going to make today?
Exactly, and that was our agreement. If the police ever stopped, we'd say we're waiting for friends, because it is the truth. They just haven't met us yet, so...
And because you're very experienced at hitchhiking and I had never done it before, at the beginning of the journey I said, Amanda, you're the boss and I'm not going to complain. And did I stick to that?
Yeah. Okay, so when we were going through the trip and at the end of the trip, we sort of thought, what would be like a checklist, or what might be some of the things people are worried about? One of the things that my family or people might be worried about is someone picking you up who had smoked crack or done a drug or was drinking. And what's some of the other things that people would be worried about if they were going to hitchhike somewhere?
Yeah, maybe some unsafe driving.
Maybe someone making an inappropriate joke about duct taping a female, something like this. They might be worried about those things.
Yes.
And all of those things happened on our trip. And we still survived. And we had amazing stories from it. Not only did we, survive it, but we thrived on it. Were nervous at the time. We kept our eyes on the road, not sure. One guy got 2 speeding tickets in the couple hours that we were in the car with them. We just used our sense, got out when we could, talked to them, got to know people we would never meet, learned things about people who have used drugs that we would have never learned. We got to connect with people in all kinds of different ways. So not only did we survive it, but we thrived on it. We had great experiences, and they were all beautiful people.
Yeah, every single person. And well, at one point, because I had just had my laptop, I don't have a cell phone. You have a cell phone, but you didn't have any service. We had to contact people. We had to go somewhere like a coffee shop or something where we could get Wi-Fi. So that add actually to the daringness of the whole adventure, just not being able to contact someone anytime you want. And there was one point where after we got out of a car with some people, we were kind of like at a service station and we didn't know where we were. We had to contact our Couchsurfing host. And Amanda just said, saw a farmhouse. Oh, let's just walk up to them and see if we can use the phone. And I said to her, this looks like the intro to some kind of a horror movie, but I feel that you're a very brave person. Well, I know sometimes you get maybe a little nervous about certain things, but you just feel the fear and do it anyway. But I think that the fact that you don't watch horror movies is a good thing. Because, we're really taught to be afraid of people, because that's how like the quote unquote rich stay in power, is by keeping all of us afraid of each other. So I think life is a lot more fun when you're not so afraid.
Yeah, and the worst horror movie, the news. I don't watch the news either, so I don't have that extra emphasis on what's going wrong, even though people do warn me. My family and friends, both of us, warned us. When you do pick up a hitchhiker in the future, which I know you all are going to do now, you don't need to warn them about what could possibly go wrong. If they're hitchhiking, they've considered this, and they've heard it multiple times, potentially hundreds of times. So don't worry about it. You don't have to tell them. They already are aware of what the possibilities are.
We used the Couchsurfing website many times during our trip, and one really fun moment I thought was we were in Thunder Bay, and we went into a hotel lobby to use the internet to find a Couchsurfing host. And then it was getting late, and the front desk clerk, he said, I get off at 11. I'd be happy to drive you to your Couchsurfing host. Yeah. Wow, so much kindness. It's like I was wearing a shirt or something that just said, be kind to me, because everyone was so kind to us all the time. And so we got driven to our Couchsurfing host, and that was lots of fun. She was very lovely.
Yeah, and it was nice because when we went to use the internet, we went into a coffee shop, and they were throwing out all their donuts for the day. We did not even ask. He came to us and brought us the box of leftover donuts he was about to throw away, so we could bring them over to the hotel. And anyone who walked by, we can share this. So kindness begets kindness begets kindness. So I think they can see that we're having fun and adventure, we're sharing, and it was great to get a ride to a beautiful host that was last minute willing to take us, Blair, and we had a great time with her and her dogs and her family. So
And she gave us candied ginger.
candied homemade candied ginger, so good.
Yeah, a couple of other Couchsurfing hosts we stayed with. There was one couple, they were painting their living room, so we grabbed a roller and we helped paint the living room. A family we stayed with out in the country in Manitoba, we helped them out with some yard work, and we saved them, the man said we saved them several hours worth of work. And even if we're not doing stuff like that, I think it's win-win, because we're talking with each other, and a lot of people, maybe if they live alone, for instance, might be a little lonely, so we try to be good company.
Yeah, and our vision of the future, to meet everybody's needs, is to have basically couchsurfing on a larger scale. So getting way more people involved, and this is what it would looks like to have resource organization. So location of where the shelter is, what the profile is, how we can fit that and arrange it so that people's needs are met for those. And that's basically kind of what the Venus project is about, is organizing the resources, and couchsurfing is like a massive first step to that, and basically creating it on a grander scale.
Yes, I highly recommend joining the Couchsurfing website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a meetup tonight that we're going to with locals. It's for everyone, especially people who are retired or have a little bit of time or space, or if you don't, you just have a floor. People like us, we love just a floor corner, and we have so much fun just playing guitar and talking and enjoying life.
Yeah. Oh, one other fun little story I like is it never hurts to ask. And so one time we were at a hotel, and you just said, "Hey, do you have a room that we could have for the night?" And the guy said no. But what we did was there were some bushes right across from the hotel, and so we just set up our tent there, and it was fine. But then it was really late, maybe around like 1 or 2 in the morning, and the sprinklers went off, and they kind of soaked the tent. But that adds to and it's another story to tell, and it was fun. And also, it never hurts to ask. For instance, we got into some public transportation, some buses for free. You know, hey, it doesn't hurt to ask.
Oh, yeah. Well, the one time we went to pay, and then the guy said, "No, we love helping out people here. Don't pay." Like the bus driver said to us, "Don't pay. Why pay? Come on, you're on an adventure here. You're just from our backpacks." So people just love the energy and the spirit of like exploring the world and just enjoying life. So yeah, we had lots of people offering to share.
And I saw you having conversations with the bus drivers. I really love that, because maybe there's some days where they don't have anyone who comes up and talks with them and shares lots of interesting stories. And so you're up there telling the bus drivers about the Venus Project and everything, and Couchsurfing hosts and the people who picked us up hitchhiking. You know, it's really wonderful to chat with all of these people about another world. Just because things have been a certain way for a very long time doesn't mean they'll always be that way. We can make a better world.
And half the time we don't say anything. We're just listening. A lot of people, it's just connecting with them is just listening to them. So what are they passionate about? You know, do they want to talk about their family? Sometimes you step on the bus and the bus driver's like, "I need to tell you something that happened while he was driving." They just need someone to share with. And we're happy to be those ears. So it was great.
Yeah. And also, sometimes people picked us up hitchhiking, and then we went on adventures with them, like with Ryan and Pam Yuki. Yeah. Oh, that was such a fun day. Right away, when Ryan pulled up and we saw solar panels on the roof, we knew, okay, we're going to have a... That is cool. Yeah. Super cool. So you got in the back seat, and you're chilling out with Pam Yuki, the dog.
Yeah. Just like there was almost like a bed or canopy in the back with the puppy, and just the cuddliest, cutest puppy. But we say that every day. We think we've met the cutest dog ever, and then the next day, boom, the cutest dog again.
Yeah. And Ryan just happened to make an incredibly awesome vegan bean like burrito for lunch that day, and he cut it up in sections and shared it with us. That was really wonderful.
It was so awesome. And just his energy, just some people you get in the car and just boom, you feel totally at peace, and you know that they wouldn't hurt a fly, and they're just so adventurous and fun and loving nature. So with Ryan, we had a great hike and chat and fun.
And another time we were in, it was in Salt Lake City, Utah, with the van, and there was a bed in the back, and we got picked up, and she was on her way to go for a hike. So we went to a hike to a waterfall. That was gorgeous. And you went and took a shower in the waterfall.
Yeah, of course. If you go in a waterfall, you have to be in it with the kids. Only the kids were there running around. All the adults were being sensible and staying on the side. It was very cold, mind you, but yeah, that's the basic need of ours to be in touch with nature, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I traveled very lately as far as wardrobe is concerned. I wear the same pair of pants for 10 weeks in a row so I could have more room in my backpack for video making equipment. It was lots of fun collaborating with people on songs. Oh, that was such a great time, like with Sasha and Charles. And
Yeah, I really felt that it was a gift for all the people that we collaborated with, that they had been, all the people that John helped make a movie, they had been thinking about it and working on it. They had the rap ready, they had this ready, and so it was just the perfect opportunity for John to step in for a day. Half the people we stayed with took the day off when we stayed with them because they knew it was going to be an epic day, just chalking and making movies and singing and talking about how awesome the world is. So it was worth it, yeah.
yeah. When we were in Vancouver, we attended a vegan wedding. The whole wedding was vegan. It was really wonderful, a very good time. And
Why doesn't everybody have a vegan wedding, John?
you know, if you see the world through the eyes of a vegan, a wedding where there's flesh and secretions from animals, it just puts a downer on the whole affair and makes it sad.
A ceremony of love. It was the best wedding ever. But I know what part you're going to tell, so keep going.
Oh, well, it was really fun because, you know, you hear speeches and, you know, some of it's not really about very important matters. But the father of the bride, in his speech, he talked about smashing the patriarchy.
Yeah, we love it. And that was the theme for the rest of the trip. Every single day, I think we said the words smashing the patriarchy. And we were visiting somewhere and they had a little button that talked about smashing the patriarchy. So John is definitely leading the way to smashing that patriarchy. So we're very appreciative of that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that button was at when we were in Vancouver. We rode with Carson into work because he works at Simon Fraser University, and we met up with Kala, and she prepares the Hare Krishna vegan lunch there, and so we had lots of fun helping out, and she gave us some food to take home that was really delicious. And so they had some sort of a day there where we were tabling beside her, and somebody at the events had some buttons with Smash the Patriarchy, and so that was lots of fun. Hi, Kala. It was really wonderful hanging out with you.
Kala is a saint. I never got to hear her voice, but I look forward to go back to Vancouver to visit Daphna and Healy and Kala and I want to go to the Hare Krishna event with her, these amazing vegan meals that she cooks for people and shares.
Yeah. And I thank you to Jillian for interviewing us about our hitchhiking trip for a podcast. And thank you to Carson for taking headshots of us. And that was lots of fun.
Your home and keeping us under your shelter. We appreciated that so much. We had really fun with you.
Mm-hmm. And we had a great time at the Animal Liberation Conference.
Indeed.
In Berkeley, California. It happens every May, so I recommend checking out next year. The event grows bigger and better every year. We do want to recognize that we hate white privilege. We want to smash the patriarchy. We also want to get rid of white privilege, but we just want to mention that we do realize that was part of the trip, the fact that we're two white people. I'm sure maybe some of the people who picked us up maybe wouldn't have if we weren't two white people, and they did feel safer. They said we looked like a couple. And also with like white privilege, as far as, there were many times where we went into a hotel lobby for a long time, used the internet, refilled our water bottles and just hung out. And so everyone should be able to do that regardless, of what they look like. And so, yeah, we just want to acknowledge that obviously, please, every white person needs to admit that white privilege is a thing and we need to get rid of it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen White Like Me, it's a great explanation of how the Europeans started to own land and pass it down generation to generation. And so even if we ended official slavery, they never got access and development the way that we did. So it continues. And it's a great way to understand how white privilege continues. A couple last things that we wanted to mention in the video before we leave you is if we were doing this without money, we fully acknowledge that every gas and home and meal shared with us was using money. And we acknowledge this in the fact that as long as anyone is using money, we are all using money. It's like as long as anyone is in prison, we are all not free.
As long as we walk by a pig in a cage or going to slaughter, we are all still suffering. So we are highly connected, and we totally understand and acknowledge that money was used in this. And this is why we look forward to sharing information about a resource-based world where we organize ourselves and the resources. And for example, we really wanted to thank our friend Rob, who we went on this trip with. And it was 2 weeks. You totally become like a family at that point. You are going through all these different adventures and experiences and meeting people and jamming. And you get very close. And he might think, okay, I can't help everyone in the world. I can't help every homeless person. But by helping two people, we have more time to help other people. And even if you can only impact one person or one family or one community's life, if all of us were thinking about enriching lives, we would be heading in the direction of meeting everybody's needs. And so we look forward to raising awareness and empowering people with the tools to know how to do this in their communities.
Yes, thank you very much, Rob, for bringing us on the tour with you for the last 2 weeks of our 10-week journey together. And it was wonderful meeting so many activists on our activism tour with Rob. And one part that was very powerful experience for me is we were in Dodge City and we went to feedlots and seeing all these cows. And so they're in the feedlot and they don't have any grass. There's just dirt there, and they have like an area where there's feed for them, but they want to eat grass. And so we were standing outside on the grass, and we pulled up clumps of grass and fed it to them. And it's so simple. These cows, they just want grass and to not be killed. It's so simple, their wants and their needs. And we're denying them even that. So please, everybody, go vegan and join the animal rights movement.
Yeah, I mean, the definition of empathy is to consider it from another perspective. In 29 years of my life, I never once thought about the bacon on my plate. And no one taught us in school, what does the pig want? What does the pig need? What does that cow want? And it's so basic. But when we walk by animals going into a slaughterhouse and we look the other way, we are denying a part of ourselves. We're looking away from suffering, and enriching lives enriches our life. And we're not promoted this message, or it's not advertised when we're kids, that enriching others' lives enriches our life and enriches the world. So please don't look away when another is suffering and when the opportunity to share comes along. When you see someone hitchhiking, when you see someone who is asking for money or homeless, you can talk to them and you can ask them to come for a coffee with you. You can invite them for lunch. And that fear that you have of the unknown is going to diminish the more that you connect with those people. And people do drink alcohol and use drugs, and that is an indication that some of their needs are not being met. And I guarantee you, well, we all know that money is not a need. Money is not something on the basic needs chart. It's connection, it's nurturing, it's love, it's affection, it's shelter. And you can simply sit with someone for a tea and listen to them and enrich their life. So we look forward to people thinking of ways to build up the community, because we have so much research that shows us we are on an ecocidal path. And if we don't change the way that we live on a mass scale, we will destroy the earth within 100 years. So the motivation is there, and only as a team can we do it. So every person that gets inspired and empowered can empower and inspire more people. So we look forward to more young people and people of all ages, sizes, backgrounds, shapes, histories, experiences to take adventures like we did and take chances. Do it without money, do it with money, share what you have, do different techniques than what we did. You can jump on trains, some people told us. You can do all kinds of different things, but now's the time to be a full-time activist, because otherwise we won't have time for more people to enjoy the opportunity to enrich other people's lives and enrich their own lives.
Thank you for all your activism, Amanda. Just like simple little things sometimes, just having that bag of chalk with you all the time. And thanks, Tim, for giving us little bags
Yes,
of
thank
chalk.
you, Tim, the Chalktivism master.
Yeah. So, we'd stop at a rest stop to use the bathroom or something, and Amanda would say, hold on, I just have to do some chalktivism. And I remember the Couchsurfing host one time in Calgary, where I woke up, oh, where's Amanda? And then she got up early to go to the local school, elementary school, and do Activism there so that it would be there for when the children arrive at school. And thank you for being so awesome on the megaphone. The megaphone was a gift from January. Hi, January.
Yeah, thank you, January, for enriching our lives with that megaphone.
So we did make it to 10 weeks, remaining friends, maybe even better friends than we were before we started. So true, eh? And one thing that was important also when we were with Rob was we did mini check-ins. So we used our nonviolent communication to check in with each other. And we even, once we were more comfortable with it, would try to guess each other's check-in. So I would pretend that I would try to understand what I thought John was going to say. So I would say, okay, I'm John. I'm feeling very excited because I got to make a video and I'm happy that I will get to record some people doing this today. And I was happy to see the cows smiling and happy when, well, smiling, maybe not, but was happy to see the cows. And so these check-ins to identify the feelings and the needs and go through the communication model to be in touch with what our needs are. What are our needs? Do we need some time alone? Do we need some connection? Do we need repose? And making sure that we are helping each other meet our needs as much as possible and communicating it clearly and empathetically.
And I think it was very important. Like, for instance, you can take a class on French or something, right, and learn some, but you actually went to where people are speaking French regularly, and you learned a lot better. So I could read a book on nonviolent communication, and I will, but just spending lots of time with someone who's practicing it regularly, because sometimes it can take a while to create new habits. And so thank you for being patient with me, and I'm going to work on this more. Thank you.
Thank you for getting it on record that you're going to read the book.
Yes, and I will. Do we have any final words? Well, we were talking about maybe having another hitchhiking trip down to the Venus Project area and learning more about that.
Yeah, we would like to become ambassadors and be able to give workshops and share information about it. Awareness is the first step to change. So we want to talk about what it looks like for people, ourselves. We want to gain more information. How does that transition look like in a world that's so dependent on money in the Western world, to make that transition for people's awareness that it will enrich their lives and what it would actually look like.
Okay, thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking some chances, and thank you for speaking up for the animals.
Thank you.